Ready for knockout qualifying for our third race of the season here in Season 2 of the NNSCRA Hersheys Cup Series. Same rules as applied in the Daytona 500 qualifying session, as well as last week's Rockingham UK qualifying session. Top 12 speeds from the two heat races will move into round number 2. Those 24 drivers will then battle for the top 12 fastest times there and move into the third round of qualifying with a shot of starting on the pole position. Drivers now leaving pit road, going to take ample opportunity of the now 9 minutes allotted them. And there you see Brandon Gonzalez going on by. He's the first car on track, and he just now took the green flag to start his first timed lap. Here comes Benjamin Miles in the 23. We'll move to the 25, I mean. We're moving now our camera to the 23 of Gonzalez, who is already up to 200 miles per hour. We had a really fast race here last season in which JT Bryant went to victory lane. I believe JT is in the second heat, so we won't see our defending winner until after this first half of the first round. JT Bryant 26.534 last time by, now kind of getting held up there by Cody Llamas, who finished runner-up last week at Rockingham UK to Zachary Fitzwater, and this time by a little bit slower lap time for Brandon Gonzalez and that Mitsubishi Lancer. Someone just ran a faster lap than him, and that was actually Keith Batson, 26.402, and Dillon Young, 26.437. Tell you, Dillon Young, that team needs some luck to come their way. Now, his teammate is JT Bryant, who I just mentioned won this event 1 year ago. And Dillon Young has finished way down in the running order week after week. That team needs a lot of luck right now. They're running second fastest. Brandon Gonzalez, Benjamin Miles, Seth Cole. Then you got Levi McIntire, Poteet, Shelton, Baskinger, and Aaron Henderson. That is your current top 10. We had a spin apparently on the front straightaway. That was Seth Cole. The Superman Chevrolet spinning on the front straight. Don't know if he had contact with another car or not, and that car was running 9th fastest. He has failed to make the first 2 races of the season, a non-chartered ride out of Seth Cole Baker Motorsports, and Seth Cole, a lot of damage on both the right and rear of the Superman Chevrolet, and he's going to have to come to pit road, get that thing repaired. We'll have to see if he's going to go to a backup car or not. There you see the skid marks. Looks like it was just one car. Austin Mongold made the race last week at Rockingham UK, and right now he has now jumped to second fastest on the chart. The only other driver besides Keith Batson to run a 26.0. And as soon as I say that, Dillon Young, oh my goodness. He's hit the 25s, as has Matthew Dalio and Levi McIntire. Now Dillon Young and Matthew Dalio, 25.8. Levi McIntire with a 25.9. Dillon Young now trying to get by James Qualls. So good shot right there for Dalio, Young, and McIntire to all move into the next round of qualifying. You have to think that Dillon Young, Levi McIntire are using somewhat a similar setup to what JT Bryant ran last year, because both are teammates of that 22 car out of Young Motorsports. Dillon Young about a tenth slower that time. Let's find the 30 of Matthew Dalio. Looks like Seth Cole, they've gotten him back out on the racetrack. I think they just repaired the car, but we'll see if he can get back up into the top 12. Right now, the 80 car slipped all the way down to 27th. Boy, he's really in trouble of missing out on this race. Matthew Dalio right now the fastest on track out of Srigley Motorsports. Trying to make his first start of the season. Right behind him, Levi McIntire, third fastest, and ahead of him, Aaron Henderson, right now 9th fastest. And Henderson made his debut in Hersheys Cup last week at Rockingham UK. trying to make his second straight start of the season. Whoa, slipping and sliding a little there off turn 4. And Dalio, his lap times have definitely tapered off. He was about 4/10 slower that last lap than his fastest lap of 25.791. He's the only driver to hit the 29.7s. Daniel Voyles right now is 5th fastest in the Mercedes-Benz. Out of USA Racing, right now looking very strong with a shot of moving into the next round. Joshua Circulli trying to make his first start of the season right now. He is 10th fastest. That would be enough to move him into the next round. He just dropped to 11th fastest though. Anthony McCrury just jumped up to 9th, ran his fastest lap of a 26.097, and we documented how Anthony McCrury, it's not been the smoothest start to the season for him, but neither was it last season. What happened? He ended up winning the championship. There's Kyle Mathews, right now 26th fastest. He didn't make it into the second round of qualifying last week at Rockingham, UK. Our Daytona 500 winner. Really needing to step it up as far as his qualifying results. Didn't have a great run last week at Rockingham, UK either. 6th fastest, Joseph Srigley. And the Pepsi Max Dunkin' Donuts Chevrolet. And he was a big surprise up inside the top 10 for a majority of that race. Right now, en route to moving into the next round. As Circulli's coming to pit road. There is last week's winner, Zachary Fitzwater. Right now, though, not really finding a lot of speed in his Dodge Dart out of Fitzwater Australia Racing. Currently 29th fastest on the track. Closest he's been able to cut was a 26.3 lap time. Jessica Shelton right now is on the bubble spot with a little less than 3 minutes to go. Right now, she is 12th fastest with a 26.107. Trying to hold off Trent Dunham, Dillon Poteet, Jake Baskinger, Austin LaPlante, Kat Tellier, O'Neill Baldwin rather, Garrett Sidner, and James Qualls to move into the next round. Benjamin Miles, we saw him second out on track. Right now he is 21st on the scoring charts, 26.225, his fastest lap, so not looking good. They're going to try and make a quick last-minute adjustment here as Trent Dunham just jumped up into the top 12, eliminating Jessica Shelton from moving into the next round. There's Trent, 26.104 was what he just ran. Now he just got eliminated, as did Circulli, who just jumped up this time. It was Kyle Mathews and Seth Cole. They're now 4th and 5th, 25.9s for the both of them. So now it is the 6 of Aaron Henderson on the bubble spot in 12th. Circulli, Dunham, and Shelton, just like that, are eliminated. Let's find our Daytona 500 winner. There he is, in a big hornet's nest here. Whoa, Garrett Sidner in this mix, along with James Qualls, Seth Cole. This has to be a backup car, I would think, for Seth Cole. And Mathews this time by was about 5, make that 7/10 slower. There's Seth Cole up to 4th place on the charts. That's after he spun out of turn number 4 on the front straightaway, had damage. We'll have to find out if that's a backup car or not, because if it's a backup car and he's going to be qualifying into this race, as long as it's in round 1 going to a backup car, you are able to hold your position. But if you have to go to a backup car in either rounds 2 or 3, you do have to start at the rear of the field. Right now, a 26.009 is all that is holding the 6 car, which I'm trying to find. There he is, of Aaron Henderson, into a shot at the next round with 30 seconds remaining. And he just got eliminated. Who just jumped up? I believe it was Mongold. The 95 of Mongold, I believe, just ran his fastest lap. No, he's in 11th place. Who just jumped up? It was Circulli. Joshua Circulli in the 47. Just ran a 25.945. That moves him into the next round. Now Anthony McCrury, the defending champ, is on the bubble. And now he's eliminated. Who just jumped up this time? It was Garrett Sidner in the 88, I believe. 25.977 for the 88 car. Now Mongold on the bubble spot with time possibly up. Garrett Sidner trying to make his second start of the season. He made the Daytona 500, was a strong car there. Failed to make the race for last week's Rockingham UK event. And right now it looks like he is in a good spot to move into the next round of qualifying, as we have 20 seconds left in cooldown, but I don't think it's going to have any effect on who's going to move into the next round. It'll be Matthew Dalio, Dillon Young, then Levi McIntire, Seth Cole, Kyle Mathews, Joshua Circulli, and Garrett Sidner for sure. Looks like Keith Batson. And the session is over. Session is complete. Keith Batson, Daniel Voyles, Joseph Srigley, Carson Scott, and Austin Mongold will be the last driver to move into the next round. Now for non-chartered cars, that gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 from this round that are moving into the next round. Now keep in mind, only 7 non-chartered cars, regardless of making it into round 2, are going to be making the main event race. So these 6 have to hope that only 1 non-chartered car makes it into the top 12 in the next heat, which I don't think is very likely. So if you take a look down through the rest of the results, you can kind of figure out where everybody else is going to start. Looks like Zachary Fitzwater will be starting 41st after winning last week at Rockingham UK. Cody Llamas, he'll be starting somewhere roughly, it looks like around 37th for the start of the race. So, man, both those drivers, first and second last week at Rockingham UK, and they're going to be starting near the rear of the field for this Las Vegas race. Drivers that will not be making this race officially at this point are Aaron Henderson, Kat Tellier, O'Neill Balvin, Elijah Gordon, as well as Zachary Stoltz and Stephanie Gardner. So those are the drivers so far eliminated for not making the main event. Let's get ready now for our second round of the second half, I should say, of the first round of qualifying. So now as we get ready for our second segment, I guess, of the first round of qualifying, 12 drivers that move into round 2 from the first segment. Now we'll go to work on tuning up their race cars in order to make it into the top 12 speeds in our second round to try and have a shot at starting on the pole position. 6 drivers that are non-chartered cars race their way into the next round from the first segment, so it'll be interesting to see how many drivers we have race their way in from this segment that are non-chartered machines. First car that came off of pit road is just now putting down its first timed lap is the 72, rookie Jason Haywood, still trying to make his first race of the season. His teammate Keith Batson moved into the next round in the first segment. Other teammate Kat Tellier did not, so trying to get at least 2 drivers from KAB Motorsports into the second round of qualifying. Catching up right now to Michael Norman. First lap laid down by the 72 car was a 26.622. That will definitely be beaten. We've seen them hit the 25s, the high mid 25s. 25.7 I think is the fastest we've seen on track. I think it was a 25.791 I think is the fastest lap we've seen so far. And already Michael Norman has the fastest lap right now with 26.215, and he has been out only 1 lap less than Jason Haywood. See if this time if the lap time improves, might get the slipstream there off Zach Rogers, and at the stripe 25.893 for Michael Norman. Now getting into a battle here with James McLeod, Zach Rogers, Marie Monobe. Maybe these 4 tucked together can produce speed, although this track, even though it's draft reliant, normally being in a pack isn't exactly the best thing, because if you're double wide, the car on the outside has to be a little bit later getting into the corner to avoid running into the car on the inside. The car on the inside has to back out a little earlier to avoid sliding up into the car on the outside, so it can affect lap times. Case in point, Michael Norman ran a 10th slower last lap than he did his fastest lap laid down, 25.9, This time by stuck on the high side. I'm sure it's going to be much slower than that. Almost a 26 flat. So yeah, you can see the lap times going down, but Marie Monobe on the inside line might have gotten some side draft off Michael Norman. She now jumps up to second place. Zach Rogers, with the help of the draft ahead of him, is now third. Teammate Grayson Acevedo there in fourth, and Acevedo just jumped to the top of the leaderboard. 25.892, 1/1000th faster than Michael Norman's lap, and Marie Monobe now with a 25.812 will firmly take control of the top of the leaderboard now. Just bypassed the 84 of Joe Rockingham, one of, I believe, 4 rookies that has made every single race so far, the first 2 races. Another of them right there just being bypassed, the 20 of Marty Johnson, the 18 of Cole Baker, and the 21 of Dougie Shears can all be put into that category. Well, Marie Monobe drives for Fire Ice Racing in that 93 car, the Toyota team, while team owner who drives for Srigley Motorsports, Emmanuel Hartnett, is right now third in the 97 car. And top of the leaderboard, we got a new fast car on track, and that is Kyle Keith in the 42. None of his teammates moved on to the next round. Trent Dunham, Ryan Madden, or Austin LaPlante, all chartered machines. Kyle Keith, the only non-chartered car out of that team, and right now trying to move his way into the next round, trying to make his Hersheys Cup Series debut in the 42 car. Right now at 25.682, his fastest lap. And I don't want to make any early predictions, but I think that could be good enough to definitely move him into the next round. As I look right now, remember 6 drivers that were non-chartered rides moved into the next round of qualifying from segment 1. We right now in the top 10 have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 non-chartered cars. Down through the top 10, you would add in 2 more with Noah Cars and Joe Rockingham. Rockingham just jumped up into the top 10 though. Noah Cars now put on the double spot, on the bubble spot. Rockingham up to 8th. Little more than 4 minutes to go. Not really quite time yet to take a look at the bubble drivers, but right now it would be Noah Cars, as he's got Joshua Michaels, Pichu London, James McLeod, Tim Walsh, Cole Baker, all pretty much within 6/100ths of his lap time. But the class of the field's been Kyle Keith, who this time by runs a 25.9, but last time by just ran the fastest lap again, 25.627. So it's definitely looking like Kyle Keith is going to move into the next round. I would maybe go as far as to say that more than likely Michael Norman, Marie Monobe, Emmanuel Hartnett, Grayson Acevedo, and William Brock will all move into the next round as well, as they've all hit the 25s. William Brock would be questionable. He's a high 25 with a 25.962. Zach Rogers almost cutting a 25 second lap time. Same for Rockingham, same for John Andrews. John Andrews drove last week at Rockingham, UK. So did Joe Rockingham. So did Dougie Shears. Right now 10th fastest. Trying to make his 3rd straight race. And Dougie Shears, of course, last week might have won that race, but had an engine failure while leading, underpacing. It turned the lead over to his teammate Zachary Fitzwater, who capitalized and took the win. One driver, as I recall, when he drove the number 6 Ford Fusion last year, finished very well here, and that was James Richardson, now over with Joe Gibbs Racing. And Richardson right now just ran 10th fastest on the charts, and now is caught up in this group of Charles Sandfer, Cole Baker, and Nathan Hudson. Didn't help improve his lap time at all. He was 3/10 slower that time. Now working by Sandfer, and now we'll try and go to the inside of Cole Baker's 18. Nathan Hudson last week had a heartbreak in the qualifying session, moved into the next round, and then found himself eliminated after round 2. Right now trying to get up into the top 12 in speeds. Right now, though, he is 30th fastest on track. That is 30th out of 31 drivers, so certainly not good lap times being laid down right now, as Now Emmanuel Hartnett merges into this group. Let's see if maybe being at the tail end of the slipstream, if maybe Nathan Hudson can do something. Let's see if his lap time improves this time. His fastest lap's a 26.4, and that ain't gonna cut it. This time by, in the slipstream, 26.5, almost a 26.6 flat. 1.5 minutes remaining. Kyle Keith trying to have an opportunity for all 4 of the Sega Motorsports cars to move into the next round. Right now, the bubble spot driver would be Dallas McIntosh in the 16. Now, he is a chartered machine. However, the car behind him 1/1000th of a second back, and 13th Noah Cars is not. Cars trying to make his second start of the season. His only start in the Daytona 500, where he finished 3rd. Dallas McIntosh, the cheese at Ford. They just made some last-minute tunings to his machine. Brings him back out on track, see if he can get away from 12th place. He's got time on his side, 40 seconds, but we've seen a lot of drivers jump up into the top 12 in the closing stages of these sessions. So McIntosh is not out of the woods just yet. 30 seconds and counting. McIntosh on the bubble spot. Dougie Shears also precariously there in 11th. They're hoping the clock runs out. This time by 26.712 for McIntosh. Nobody's been able to improve on his 26.128. And he's hoping it stays that way. And now 25 seconds left for someone to try and beat his lap time who may have just started their final lap of this session. McIntosh got to be on pins and needles right now. Noah Carr is trying to beat him. Where's that 96? There he is. I don't know if he's going to get scored this lap or not. He's just coming out of turn 2. 26.7 was his last lap, and Marie Monobe's actually going to get to the inside and battle with him. That may be all she wrote for Noah Cars. As coming to the line, is he even going to get scored this lap? No, he is not. That will do it. Dallas McIntosh will transfer in along with Dougie Shears, James Richardson, John Andrews, Joe Rockingham, Zach Rogers, William Brock, Grayson Acevedo, Emmanuel Hartnett, Marie Monobe, Michael Norman, and Kyle Keith. They'll move into the next round of qualifying.
To your car.
And remember, we mentioned that there were 6 drivers, non-chartered cars, that moved into the next round of qualifying from the first heat. Well, we have a total, if my math is correct here, of 6 drivers moving into the next round from this heat, which means 5 drivers that made their way into round 2 will not be racing in the main event. So it'll come down 12 drivers for 7 slots in this Cobalt Tools 400 main event race. So there's your 12 drivers that move into the next round. Keith, Norman, Monobe, Hartnett, Acevedo, Brock, Rogers, Rockingham, Andrews, Richardson, Shears, and McIntosh. They'll join the other 12 that qualified their way in from the first segment. There's the results on down. Looks like Jonny Gardner and John Cittadino will start at the rear of the field. The drivers officially that will not be making the start that DNQ'd at this point are Noah Cars, Pichu London, James McLeod, Davey Johnson, also I believe Rocco Twyman, Jason Haywood, Holden Gluba, Marty Johnson, and Nathan Hudson. So that will be it for our second segment of our first round. Let's get ready now for our 24 drivers that move on to round 2 as we get ready for our next round of qualifying and now find out our top 12 from that. So as we prepare for the second round of qualifying, the 12 drivers from each segment moving into this second round, 24 drivers in total, will battle for the top 12 speeds in this round in order to move into the final round with a shot at starting on the pole position for the Cobalt Tools 400. A couple cars already off. Levi McIntire's 99, Seth Cole's 80. And a few change, well, really only one change from last week to this week. Now, last week, we ended up having our knockout qualifying session be 10 minutes for round 1, 10 minutes for round 2, 5 minutes for round 3. it has been changed and mandated that it's 10 minutes for round 1 for both of the 2 heats, and then round 2 and round 3 are only going to be 5 minutes long. So yeah, you can see Levi McIntire, Seth Cole very quickly got off pit road, got on racetrack, because there's not going to be a whole lot of time to get out there, make an initial run, and then be able to make adjustments for a second run, as there would be if you had that extra 5 minutes on the clock. We have 12 non-chartered cars that transferred into this round. 6 from round 1, or from the first heat, 6 from the second heat, and that's going to make it very interesting. Much like last week, there are going to be drivers that are going to be going home that made it into the second round of qualifying. As Levi McIntire just ran his fastest lap, 26.248. Seth Cole, though, just ran a 25.953, so he's the first car to hit the 25s. He's the only non-chartered car to put down a lap time. Levi McIntire. Did I just say Levi McIntire? Well, there's a new meme. Levi McIntire, there's Joseph Srigley just turned a lap, Voyles, Norman, and Mathews. They all have already turned laps, but they are chartered machines. Dillon Young now goes on the scoring monitor with a 26.6. And first car besides Seth Cole, that's a non-charter car to lay down a lap time, is Austin Mongold. As they are right now continuing to just put down their first laps. Now, we've never had it happen, but there is a possibility that even a driver that moves into round 3 of qualifying could be eliminated from competing in the main event. It all depends on if we have more than 7 drivers that are non-chartered cars inside the top 12 in speed. That is a possibility that could happen here today or for the remainder of the season. Right now, we have 5 non-charter cars currently up in the top 12. That'll more than likely change as William Brock jumps up to 3rd fastest. He could be like the James Qualls of last week at Rockingham, UK. We didn't really talk much about him. He just barely sneaks his way in, and then when we get to the final round, all of a sudden the speed comes out, and he may sit on the pole position. We'll see. There's Matthew Dalio. He was up to, I think it was 11th fastest. He's now dropped to 19th. So right now, not looking good for Matthew Dalio, trying to make his Hersheys Cup Series debut. And top of the leaderboard is the rookie, Keith Batson. 25.790. Zach Rogers just jumped up to 9th, and now Joshua Circulli up to 7th. So we're starting to see the non-charter cars jump up there. You got Batson, Cole, Keith, Monobe, Circulli, Rogers, Mongold. That's 6 right there, I think. Is that 6 or is that 7? No, that's 7. That's your 7 right there. Is there a driver in... Nope. Chartered cars, 11th and 12th. So right now, those would be the 7 drivers that would move into the next round. Batson, Cole, Circulli, Keith, Monobe, Rogers, and Mongold. The way things sit right now. Things could change, though, as there's 10 seconds remaining on the clock. Right now, Emmanuel Hartnett would be the last driver to move into the next round in 12th. And as it stands, Garrett Sidner, Matthew Dalio, they'd be out. As someone just jumped in. Who was it? Carson Scott up to 3rd. Now Joseph Srigley in the final transfer spot. And it's looking like Sidner, Dalio, John Andrews, as well as Joe Rockingham and Dougie Shears may miss out on racing this week, which is obviously going to be a heartbreak for Shears and Rockingham, who both made the Daytona 500 and last week's race at Rockingham, UK. And as the session's coming to a close with 10 seconds remaining for cooldown. It looks like Joseph Srigley will be the final transfer driver, and we have 7 non-chartered cars inside the top 12 moving into the next round of qualifying, and those will be the 7 that have locked themselves up spots in the main event. Session is going to be complete. Let's take a look here. Officially at the results of the second round of qualifying, Keith Batson will race into the main event. He had the fastest time in the second round, along with Seth Cole. He's raced his way in. Carson Scott, Levi McIntire, they'll move into round 3. Circulli, Keith, Monobe, Rogers, they all will move on to the main event as well as the third round. William Brock 9th. Austin Mongold will race his way into his first start of the season in the 90. Or wait, did he race last week? I gotta look that up. But he's going to be 10th, so he'll move into the next round. And then Dallas McIntosh and Joseph Srigley are the last 2 drivers to try and battle for the pole. The drivers eliminated from this race are going to be Garrett Sidner, Matthew Dallio, John Andrews, Joe Rockingham, and Dougie Shears. So those are the drivers that will not take part. So we have our 12 drivers that will battle for the pole position. Let's go now for the final round of qualifying, see who's going to start on the pole. So who's going to start in the pole position for the Cobalt Tools 400? We have 5 rookies that moved into the final round of qualifying. Now, we've had a number of rookies move close to getting the pole position, but they've just not been able to capitalize. We've had 2 straight weeks where we have had a rookie start on the outside of the front row. James McLeod did it at Daytona, and Joe Rockingham did it at Rockingham, UK. So we'll see if a rookie will go on point this time, as the first car off pit road is the 73 of Keith Batson, who will make his rookie debut in the Hersheys Cup Series here this week at Las Vegas. He, along with Zach Rogers, making his debut. Trying to think of if anybody else is making their debut. I believe Marie Monobe raced last week at Rockingham, UK. Kyle Keith, he'll be making his rookie debut in the 42. And who was the other rookie? The other rookie was Austin Mongold, who I said between break I was going to look up and see if he raced last week at Rockingham, UK, and I forgot to. But it seems like I remember him racing last week. I might be wrong, but it seems like I remember he was racing last week. Anyway, about less than 3.5 minutes now in this session. Drivers really need to get out there, get lap times put down here to have a shot at starting on the pole. Keith Batson at this point is the only one who has put a lap time down. And he, of course, was the fastest in round 2, so watch for that 73 car to maybe lay down another lightning fast lap. This is my dark horse driver. I said James Qualls might have been a sleeper in last week's round 3 of qualifying. What happened? He started on the pole. I'm looking at this 15 of William Brock to maybe do something. As I recall, he was kind of a sleeper last week, too. I would be very, very vigilant on the lap times that will get run by that Aaron's Dream Machine. Nobody been able to beat Keith Batson's time yet. Batson trying to start on point. Battling right now with Kyle Keith and Levi McIntire as he'll move by the both of them. And that time by, he just beat his own lap. 26.307 for Keith Batson. Just ahead of Joshua Circulli. How about Joshua Circulli? Nicely done getting here into this final round of qualifying and racing his way into the main event. Circulli was a 3-time winner last season when he drove the 27 for Richard Childers Racing, but this season, coming in with William Brock Motorsports, non-chartered team, failed to make the 500 and last week's race at Rockingham, UK, but racing his way into the main event this week. And right now, looks like he's on track for maybe a good starting position. And remember we said Keith Batson was maybe going to become the first rookie pole sitter? Well, he just had his lap time beaten. Levi McIntire right now has himself situated on point with a 26.053. 15/100ths faster than Keith Batson. Kyle Keith right now 3rd. Seth Cole jumps up to 4th. And now Carson Scott will take and drop both of them to 4th and 5th as he'll jump up to 3rd with a 26.177. So Levi McIntire, Keith Batson looking like at this point we may have a veteran rookie front row for the 3rd straight week. At Daytona, it was Joshua Michaels and rookie James McLeod making up row 1. At Rockingham UK, it was James Qualls and rookie Joe Rockingham making up row 1. And right now, it's looking like Levi McIntire and Keith Batson will carry on that tradition. And wow, Levi McIntire, 25.935 his last lap. Batson was a 25.961. Those two are very, very close on lap times. McIntyre just a little bit better though, which surprises me with the fact that Batson's running in the draft. You can see he's actually allowed about a car length, 2 car lengths between himself and the 99. He's trying to be able to get enough draft that he doesn't have to bail out of the throttle to avoid running into the back of Levi McIntire going into 1 and 3. We have hit zeros on the clock. Drivers now have one more opportunity to complete their lap. Levi McIntire, Keith Batson, I believe this will be their last lap scored. Anybody got anything for the 99 and the 73 to start on the front row? Coming to the line. Let's see what Levi McIntire's lap turn this time is. 26.002. Roughly a tenth slower than his fastest lap. Same for Keith Batson. And it doesn't look like anybody else is going to challenge them for the front row starting spot. So it looks like Levi McIntire and Keith Batson, they're going to come to pit road. They're not going to get those race cars torn up and have to start at the rear. So it will be an all Ford Fusion front row. Chevy has swept the front row for the last 2 weeks. And now Ford makes its presence felt, putting both of their Ford Fusions on the front row. And here's the way that the first 6 rows will look. For the Cobalt Tools 400, Levi McIntire on point with Keith Batson. Row 2 will be Carson Scott and Kyle Keith. Row 3, Marie Monobe and Seth Cole. Row 4, Zach Rogers and Joshua Circulli, both making their debuts for the season. Dallas McIntosh and Joseph Srigley will be row 5. And row 6, Austin Mongold and William Brock. So that's going to do it. If you want to see what the full starting lineup is going to look like, you can look down in the description. Be sure that you don't look at it before the video or else you're going to get spoilers. So, yep, just a warning there. But the full starting lineup for the Cobalt Tools 400 is down in the description below. So, congratulations to Levi McIntire on capturing the pole. Keith Batson will start in 2nd. And congratulations to those drivers that raced their way in via non-charter rides via speed. They'd be Batson, Keith, Monobe, Cole, Rogers, Circulli, and Mongold. We'll see you guys now next for our main event race, the Cobalt Tools 400 here from Las Vegas Motor Speedway. That'll be coming up next year as we continue on the season in the Hersheys Cup Series on the NNSCRA Sports Channel, Offline Racing at its best.